Welcome back. I'm Laura Beamer. We're hanging out here with writer and producer Ken Sanders. We just finished talking about his defining moment when he decided to take his career by his own hands and start your own company. So about that, a lot of us here in LA and other cities where there's a lot of production going on, we are having this trouble not knowing when to jumpstart our careers and when we get to quit that day job and really focus on what we want to do. So since it sounds like you went through that scenario a few times, what kind of advice do you have for us?
Live frugally and save your money. And don't give up your day job until you have enough set aside to get by for a while. I learned to do that early on. And I think I always had it in my mind that I was sacrificing and saving for the day that I would make that leap into the unknown of being self-employed and, starting my own company and taking all the risk involved in that. But I did. I set aside. I scrimped and saved, as they say. And here's just a little side note: if you can find a way to get into the real estate market, that's a good way. I mean, I can't tell you how much that saved my bacon, so to speak, when I was struggling years and years ago, being able, to have a good real estate investment that could float me during times when there wasn't a lot of work. But whatever that thing is, whether it's real estate or some other thing, it is useful, whether you're starting a company or even if you're just going from job to job. I mean, it's useful to have that other thing anyway. But listen, I was sort of sacrificing, and still do, in terms of how I live and how I spend my money, to make sure that I can keep my business going and keep doing what I love to do.
Is there a safe number or amount of time that we should be staying in our day job and also hopefully making money with whatever job we are in, crew or if we're actors? Is it 2 years and we're making good money, and then maybe it's safe if we had consistent work for 2 years?
I think that's a hard question to answer because I think it varies for each individual. But I would look at it this way: you should be able to survive for a couple of years without steady income in order to be able to ride out the rough periods in this business, in any business, not just this business. It's any business. I mean, the economy goes up and down, and that's why it's always good to be thinking ahead and to be putting aside money. I know I sound like Dad giving everybody advice. Save your money, son. But anyway, it's a good rule to live by, no matter what you're doing. I would never say that there's too much that you could have put aside.
Yes.
Because you never know.
We get stressed about not having money sometimes, and we forget how much we love this industry and why we picked this career path. When we're getting stressed about it, what did you do when you were getting stressed about not having enough money, or when you got laid off? Did you still hang out with friends in the industry or go to those social obligations? Did that help you?
Oh, I think so. I think so. I mean, I never lost sight of the prize. The prize for me was to get to do the next gig. The prize for me was, I have dream projects. I'm going to make that dream project one day. I just got to make it through this month, this year, whatever. I was always telling myself that, and I went through many years telling myself that in between jobs and in between gigs and in between projects. And I'm sure every one of us in this business has done that. But I had such a passion to do what I wanted to do. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And if you really can't imagine doing anything else, then it's really not a sacrifice. You accept it, and you know that the rewards are worth it.
Right.
And for me, every time I get to make a movie, that reward has made all of it worthwhile.
Right. And so just because I know that everyone who's watching this right now is wondering, how many years did it take you from when you graduated college to when you felt safe enough to be self-employed?
I'm not sure that I ever felt completely safe, nor to this day do I feel completely safe about anything. That being said, now is a good time because I've got a company that's doing well, and we are making films, and it's all good. The thing was, I don't know that I'm a good example because I was kind of slow. I mean, it took me a long time to sort of figure out how to be successful, how to climb the ladder, so to speak, and to maneuver through the politics of the business and to get where I wanted to be. So I sort of reinvented myself a few times, and kind of started over, and that took several years. And then when I was an executive, and I started working as an executive probably in my late 20s, early 30s, and then I worked most of my 30s as, in various executive capacities. Having done that for several years, then after I had learned what I needed to learn from those experiences, then that's when I decided to take the leap. So it was quite a few years for me. But there are people who, do it, I know who have done it much quicker than I did. But everybody's got their own path, and somebody might be able to do it in 3 or 4 or 5 years. It just took me a little longer, but that's just me.
I think that's good for everyone to know that there's no rush. Things can happen. It happens on their own time.
Yeah, I was a middle-aged dude, and it finally started working. So, my patience paid off.
Good, good. Cool. Well, we'll be right back with some more chatting with Ken Sanders.